How's it going, everyone? A lot of you have asked me in the comments and in the Discord what some of my favorite games are. So today I wanted to share some games that you might not have tried or completely missed that have had a profound impact on me personally and that I'm really grateful I gave a chance and played. I'm not going to talk about huge games like Zelda or Super Mario and games like that. I think most likely you've already heard of them, and if you've even had the slightest interest in them, you've probably already played them. So it would just be kind of pointless to bring up these big games. Instead, I want to give you some games that really exceeded my wildest expectations and have become staple games in the back of my mind that I'll always keep coming back to and that I really wish I could play again for the first time. And don't worry, I won't give any spoilers, so you're safe to watch the whole thing. First up, we've got The Witness by Jonathan Blow. When this game was released back in 2016, I looked at it, kinda interested, but I just never really felt the urge to actually buy it and play it. I do like puzzle games, but this just seemed, I don't know, just a little simple. I really liked the graphics and I was sort of interested, but just never quite enough to buy it. I kept eyeing the game for a few years, but then a friend told me he picked it up and claimed that it was one of the best games he'd ever played, which seemed kind of strange to me. I mean, it's just a puzzle game where you draw some lines, right? Like, how good can this possibly be? Well, because he said that, I decided to pick it up, and after about 15 minutes, I was 100% hooked. I think, man, I played this game so much. I think I played it for like a week straight from dawn till dusk with no breaks. It was one of those weird experiences where I couldn't focus on anything. I just kept thinking about this game, almost like a curse in the living room, just pulling me back to play more. Okay, if you don't know what this game is about, you're stranded on a mysterious island without any explanation, and the only thing for you to do is to solve these panels placed in the world by drawing lines on them. Or is it? The island is separated into different sections, and once you finish all puzzles in one section, a beam is pointed towards the mountain in the middle. I know it sounds simple, but listen. The Witness is a masterful execution of not having a single hint on screen, no tutorial, nothing. You learn the game by playing it and are only limited by your own curiosity to find out more. It's just a strange experience of self-discovery and exploring what it means to be human on so many levels. At least for me it was. I know some people found this game frustrating and pointless, but for me, I still think about this game on almost a weekly basis, and I don't know, it just really left such an impression on me. There are so many layers to this game, and it's like a real sense of exploration as you make your way across this island. However, if you don't like puzzle games and you're easily frustrated, I don't think this game is for you, but if you're even in the slightest intrigued by what I've said so far and like a good mystery, please pick this game up and play it. I'm so glad I finally picked this game up in the end, and I had even seen gameplay footage and other things about this game, but I thought it looked boring and it just didn't seem too interesting. But as soon as I picked up that controller and started exploring this island for myself, it was just so different compared to watching footage online. Anyways, enough about this. I just really love this game, and I think you will too, if you like puzzle games and mysteries, that is. Next, Outer Wilds. I didn't even understand what this game was. It just looked weird. You fly around in space, these weird creatures, and the graphics look like they're 10 years old or something. I don't know. I mainly bought it because a lot of people recommended it, and it was made in Unity by some students. So I was like, I make games in Unity sometimes. I'll see what it's all about. I did the tutorial, which kind of teaches you about the game, and you're then left to explore the solar system without much guidance. The first hour was, yeah, it was cool, but I definitely had to push through a few moments of wanting to close the game and call it a day. But after some time, the game really got me hooked. You play as this weird creature with 4 eyes and live in this solar system with very tiny planets. Your kind has explored most of the solar system, and they've found remains of an ancient civilization that once seemed to live in the solar system as well. You, however, are the first astronaut that is set out to explore space with a newly invented device that can actually translate some old text written by this ancient civilization, and it's now up to you to find out clues about this ancient race, who they were, what happened to them, and how their technology works. There's also another huge aspect about this game that makes it really mind-blowing and different from other games. It's even mentioned in the description on the game on Steam, but since I promised not to spoil anything, I won't. Outer Wilds is another game that masterfully teaches you the game as you play it and doesn't give you any hand-holding. It's a game that, if you know the answer, you can finish the game in about 2 minutes, but it'll take you a good 50 hours to figure out how to do that, and I really like that stuff. Just, you know, when you have the obvious right in front of you, but because you don't know, you don't know. Personally, I'm just so tired of games that tell you exactly what to do, where to go at all times to make sure that you never get stuck.
How do I get up there?
For me, that just takes all the fun out of the entire experience. Outer Wilds isn't afraid to let you get stuck, scratch your head, take a break, come back to it, and finally cave in and look at a walkthrough from time to time. I mean, I'd much rather that than having the walkthrough built into the game constantly telling me what to do. I don't know. If what I said sounds remotely interesting, play it, just do it. It's an amazing journey and you won't regret it. But it is a bit of a mind-bending game and it requires quite a bit of thinking at times. So yeah, just expect to get stuck sometimes. Next up is a classic, so you younglings might not have played this one, Chrono Trigger. The reason I'm putting this on this list is because I myself didn't actually play this on the Super Nintendo when it first came out. I played this years later, and even though it's a pretty old game, it's one of the most memorable video game experiences I've ever had, and is one of the very few games of the older generation that truly stood the test of time. I mean, pixel art is pretty popular still, so the graphics are not much different to any other pixel art game you're playing right now, and the gameplay works kind of like Final Fantasy, like turn-based attack system, and I just want to get this out here, I hate that. I never really played the Final Fantasy games because I just absolutely detest the combat system. It's slow, boring, I can't stand it. I'm just not a big fan of JRPGs, guys. I'm sorry, okay? But for some reason, I didn't mind it in Chrono Trigger. It felt fun, engaging, and never stiff or grindy. I actually quite enjoyed it for some reason. Yeah, it just felt really well balanced and fun. But where this game really shines, though, is the story. It's absolutely amazing, taking you through a time travel adventure in this mysterious fantasy world with tech combined with magic. I know it sounds a bit cheesy, but Chrono Trigger delivers on this concept 100%. The story is packed with interesting characters, plot twists around every corner, and just an overall amazing journey. This one is probably the game I'm most hesitant to recommend because it is almost 30 years old, but man, I'm so grateful to have played this game, and I think you will be too if you just give it a chance. Even if you don't like JRPGs, I still think it's worth giving Chrono Trigger a shot, and if you do like JRPGs and somehow haven't played this game, all I can say is, you're welcome. Enjoy. Next up, we've got Hollow Knight. Man, I can't even in words describe Hollow Knight. Okay, I just want to say that these games are not in order of importance. All these games are at the very top of the cherry for me, so don't think it gets worse as we go. Okay, Hollow Knight. At first glance, I thought this game looked a bit dull. Very muted art style, quite monotone, and not much variety. I don't know, I like games that have a huge variety and environments where I get to discover the Ice Kingdom or the Jungle World or the Water Palace. Whatever, you get the idea. Hollow Knight just looked like you're in a cave. Great. But because Joseph Anderson said it was one of the best games he'd ever played,
Pretty much flawless.
I decided, whatever, only 15 bucks, let's do this. And oh my god. Alright, if you don't know what Hollow Knight is, it's a Metroidvania, which is a genre that mainly comes from the Metroid games, and I would put Super Metroid on this list because honestly, even though it's old, Super Metroid is a fabulous game that also really stood the test of time, but a lot of people are gonna hate on me here, but Hollow Knight is really a real-life example of the apprentice defeats the master kind of deal. Hollow Knight takes what worked so well with Super Metroid and improved upon it 100 times. If you haven't played either of these games, I'd say play Hollow Knight. There have been many Metroidvanias over the years, but Hollow Knight so massively crushes all the competition. Even the original game that made the genre popular, I feel like almost the genre should be renamed after Hollow Knight. That's how good it is. And to top it off, it was made by like 3 people in Unity. You play as a knight, you explore an ancient abandoned city called Hallownest. You're some sort of bug and you encounter other bugs on your journey of exploring the dark and mysterious world as you uncover its deepest secrets. As you play the game and become sucked into its mysterious, melancholy story and the music starts to grip you, you start seeing the very subtle but quite vivid differences between each section of the map, and although it's the same art style and looks similar, you start acquiring a taste of just how different and unique each place really is. You start craving more, you want to explore more, find more hidden worlds, friends, enemies, and upgrades. As any classic Metroidvania, you're first stuck in the starting area and need to unlock new abilities in order to explore this world further. But if you don't like 2D platformers, then I don't think this game is for you. Some of the bosses require precise coordination and timing, and it gets harder the further you get. My wife, for example, hates platforming games, and I don't think she would enjoy this very much. So yeah, if you do though, this game is a no-brainer, and the fact that it's only 15 bucks is insane. This is a $60 game constantly on sale. It's really amazing. Get it. Get it. Next is Subnautica, which is another game made in Unity. Lots of Unity games here. Anyway, Subnautica, yeah, another one of those that I heard about but never picked up for some reason. It's set sometime in the late 22nd century and humans have begun colonizing other solar systems. You are unfortunately part of a massive crash landing on an unexplored planet with seemingly no land in sight. You see no signs of other crew members and you have to survive and call for help. Your goal is to set up a small base on this planet and send a distress signal for someone to come and help you. The problem is, you need resources, and as you build more advanced things, you need to go deeper and get more rare materials. Okay, I've read this pitch before, and I played the game, and it sounds interesting, but is it really worth my time and money? It took me a few years to finally pick this game up, and yes, it's worth all the time and the money. Yes, okay? Now, I'm not into horror games. I don't play them, I'm not a fan, I just get too scared anyways, but this game, and this is actually a warning, is the scariest shit I've ever experienced, okay? I'm not gonna say too much as I promise no spoilers, but swimming through the dark waters, going deeper and deeper, hearing what sounds like very large creatures roaming below us, and knowing that you have to go down there, otherwise you can't progress with the game, it's just like, oh my god, it's so stressful. Anyways, the game is really scary, just so you know, but it's also so good and rewarding. It's not a linear game. There's no hand-holding. All you have is yourself and your very handy computer, which gives you survival tips as you go. It's been like pre-programmed to help humans survive on foreign planets, basically. It gives you hints and, you know, the standard protocol, but it never tells you how to play, which is the important part here. You have to explore the planet and send a distress signal, but at about an hour, maybe 2 hours or so into the game, you encounter something quite unexpected, which starts the real story of the game. And it's at this point that I got really hooked on the game, and I just had to find out more, and no matter how scared I got, I still pushed through because I just had to find answers. I don't want to say anymore as I really want you to experience this on your own just like I did. So if you're even remotely interested in what you've seen so far, do yourself a favor, don't read anything more about this game to avoid spoilers and just give it a try for yourself. Before I played it, I personally thought that this game was just another one of those grindy building games we've seen pop up in the past few years, but I was so wrong. So if that's what you're thinking right now, know that it really isn't. Yes, there's some crafting and harvesting involved, but it's not grindy, and it's just a great part of the adventure, trust me. Okay, enough about Subnautica. Next we've got Factorio. A bit of a different game to the rest on this list, but just as good. You're stranded on an alien planet. Your goal is to set up operations to harvest resources from the planet and ultimately build a spaceship which takes you off the planet. While the game does have a goal, it really doesn't. Your goal is to build a self-sustaining factory that harvests materials and turns it into different items that are used for various things. You're also under attack from aliens that try to kill you, so you'll need to produce weapons to keep them at bay as you're expanding your base. What makes this game so addicting is the constant desire to automate things. You start off having to chop wood, mine rocks, coal, etc. all manually. You have to put it in your coal burner, melt iron into steel, and so on. After you do some researching though, you discover ways to automate the process, such as how to make mining equipment, transport bands to move your resources from one machine to another, that then makes something out of your thing and transport it further to make something else. The game keeps advancing on this concept, and eventually you reach a point where your factory is just self-sustainable and is producing energy from solar power, producing equipment, items, researching on its own, and all that stuff with robots. But the road to get there is pretty rocky, and you're gonna start over several times because you'll realize that after you've been playing for a few hours, you started off your base completely wrong and it's time to start over. You'll either just start a new game, or you can just move over a little bit further away and build a new base and kind of connect them at a later stage. It's a sense of discovery, and it's quite similar to the process of learning programming, where everything needs to work together and form a symbiosis with itself. If you're not into these kind of games at all, then I'd say skip it. But if you do like to challenge the logics part of your brain, piece things together and learn how things work, this game is for you. The reason I'm putting this on this list is because at first glance, this game might not look so appealing. It's dark, grungy, and might put some people off, myself included. But it is one of the most rewarding experiences in building games I've ever had, and it's quite amazing how creative you can get with this game the more you play. There are entire YouTube channels dedicated to coming up with new clever ways of optimizing your factory, and yeah, it's just one of those awesome games where the community keeps driving it forward and there's a true sense of discovery as you're playing it. Of course, there are other games I really enjoyed over the years, but like I said, might not be the same if you were to play them today for the the first time. A good example of this is Shenmue for the Dreamcast, which at the time had absolutely groundbreaking graphics, gameplay, and narrative never seen in a video game before. Playing Shenmue is a childhood memory that I will cherish forever, but since then, other games have built upon this concept and improved upon that formula for many years, so for someone used to modern games, playing Shenmue today is not gonna be quite the same experience I had when it was first released. It's like watching Citizen Kane. Maybe it was good for its time, but I myself found it sucked, okay? There's also games like World of Warcraft, which I spent, I don't even want to know how many hours playing, but again, if you wanted to get into a game like that today, I'd probably recommend you try out the Elder Scrolls Online instead, which is just way more modern and fun than Warcraft, to be honest. At least in my opinion. I also used to play a lot of Counter-Strike and Dota and Warcraft 3, but that's for another day. I hope you found at least one game that you haven't played in this video that you can try out. I'm curious to hear what your favorite games are. I'd love to find another favorite to add to my list, so please drop a comment with games that have been meaningful in one way or another in your life. I've also got some exciting stuff coming up, guys. I'm working on a little secret side project, and Punch a Bunch is coming along, and I'm really looking forward to the GMTK Game Jam this weekend. I'm probably most definitely gonna join. I hope to see you guys join in as well. Anyways, that's it for me. I hope you enjoyed the video, and don't forget about the Google algorithm, juicy. Click subscribe for more epic content, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.